Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 118 of Crunch Time with the N326 duo. I'm going to be your host tonight. My name is Sam Gotzi, and with me today, as always, Tanner Dislin. Tanner, how are you doing, man?
Sam, you know what? I'm not going to lie. I'm a little bit sad because this is the last time we will be previewing a football game for a very long time. And that's very sad. Obviously, next episode, we will still talk football, having just come off the Super Bowl. But yeah, that would be the last game, and it's in the rearview mirror as opposed to ahead of us. So definitely a little sad, but it is what it is. And I'm ready to get into the episode, man.
Yeah, last football game of the season always comes with tears. So the episodes are going to be changing up a little bit in the next upcoming weeks. We got the NBA trade deadline, of course, coming up, and then we have the off season, kind of the NFL. Dive into March Madness, of course, but let's the March Madness. Yeah. Yeah, I think he's been on 2 times. Probably will be a third this year. So
yeah, look out for that one though.
That's a great one. Yeah, stay tuned for that. But let's hop right into this episode, as we always do. Winners and losers. Who is your winner?
My winner, I'm going to go with JuJu Watkins, the player for USC, the women on their women's team on Friday. So just a couple days ago, we're recording on Monday. On Friday, she scored 51, and USC in a big-time game, they were ranked 10 at the time. Stanford was ranked 6, and a big-time Pac-12, may it rest in peace, matchup. And USC comes out on top, and JuJu scored 51. She's a true freshman. So
yeah, she's gonna be a dog.
Yeah, it seems like next big highlight reel in women's basketball, and that 51 is the highest point total in a game this year in women's NCAA basketball. Also, not to be overlooked, she added 11 boards too, so it was in a double. But big time game, she's 51, and an extra prop on top of the game she played in her interview. Actually,
yeah.
They were talking to her about, wow, what a game. You scored 51. That's the highest point total in any game this year. And then the person in the media said, Caitlin Clark, who? And Juju just looked at her and said, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. So props to her for A, the game she had, but B, not falling into the trap of the media and getting a soundbite of her saying something way out of context. She just said, nope, we're not doing that. This is my day. I scored. Talk about my performance, which good for her. And yeah, it definitely deserves to be a winner.
Yeah, she definitely went crazy that game. I obviously saw highlights and clips, but that press game or post game interview was definitely an interesting one. Yeah, that performance was definitely winner worthy. For my winner, gonna stay on the hardwood as well. I'm gonna go to Big Ten basketball with Chris Collins of Northwestern on an absolute masterclass in his ejection against Purdue.
Where's he going with this?
Yes. He was ejected with 1.7 seconds left remaining in Purdue's victory last Wednesday. Basically lost his shit. Pardon my French there, but he walked on the court, yelled at a ref while ball was still in play. Obviously, can't do that. Players were restraining him back, and then he obviously got teed up, got ejected, and he was heated, and he still went up to Matt Painter, shook his hand, gave him like good game, congrats, and he also dapped up Zach Edey on his way out of the arena
like a king.
Yeah, it was crazy, and he even gestured Boilermaker fans to boo him louder. So going out like a king, but to mention the reason why he was upset. Purdue attempted 46 free throws in this game, while Northwestern only had 8.
Yeah, I mean, don't want to get too off topic off of the ejection, but I remember that when this game happened, a lot of people talking about the aftermath of it and talking about the fact that this was a main example as to why Purdue seems to always fall short in the tournament. I mean, that was a hard fought Big Ten basketball game. And Purdue, what else? Outshoot him at the free throw line?
46 free throws to 8.
46 to 8. I'm trying to load up the box score from the game against Fairleigh Dickinson last year to see what the free throws were like. Because in March, you're not getting kind of free throw. I mean, free throws, yeah, Purdue shot 19.
Yeah.
It was 19 to 10. So Purdue still shot more, but not 46, right? And
it's crazy.
And when Purdue can't shoot 46 free throws and Zach Edey, that big oaf, can't shoot 26 of them himself.
Yeah. I've never seen a big man get as many calls as Zach Edey.
Nobody has any idea how to referee him, and it's a shame because it seems like there's nothing you can do defensively, and you just get called for a foul whenever you do get a stop. But yes, so I think he has every right to be pissed at a 46 to 8 free throw discrepancy and went out like a king.
Yeah, absolutely. So those refs definitely could have been a loser of the episode. But Tanner, I think you got another one in store for us. So let the people know who is your loser of the episode.
Loser of the episode. So again, I told you both mine are basketball related. Actually, both mine are women's basketball related. Because welcome to the next installment of Mad About Iowa. We always, every week, we got to talk about who is just mad about Iowa. And this week's example is Sheryl Swoopes, a former WNBA and women's college basketball player herself, talking about how Caitlin Clark will certainly be passing Kelsey Plum's all-time, or Plume? Kelsey Plume's all-time scoring record. And basically said things along the lines of that it shouldn't count and that we should hold Caitlin Clark breaking Plume's record to a different standard than Plume setting the record herself because Caitlin Clark had the COVID year. And because that, I believe she said, quote, when you're 25 years old playing against 20-year-olds is what she said.
Yeah.
Talking about Caitlin Clark and her, quote, COVID year and how when you can do it in 5 years, that's a huge advantage. Which makes sense to me. If a player played 5 years, they probably have a higher chance of being the all-time scorer than someone who played 4 years. Except there's one problem. Caitlin Clark has not used her COVID year.
No.
Pretty much everything she said was just blatantly wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, 25-year-olds playing against 20-year-olds. Caitlin Clark's 22.
Yeah.
So that's well within college athlete range. She's a true senior, meaning this is her 4th year. She has played more than 10 games less than Kelsey Plume thus far. And I believe based on what Caitlin Clark averages, she'll break it within the next 2 or 3 games.
Yeah.
Which will be
she needs like 66 points left.
Yeah, right. Which will be I think it'll be about 8 or 9 less games than it took Plume to get the record that she set. So I'm not quite sure what you're trying to say there, Sheryl Swoopes. It seems like you're just top tier hating. Because I was gonna say, if you're just hating, that's a loser in and of itself. But you're hating with just stuff that's factually incorrect.
Yeah, absolutely. And she got absolutely flamed on it. Even Iowa women's basketball official Twitter account got in and basically listed off what she said, saying she's only 22, true senior, 123 games played. But one thing I think that we're seeing where women's basketball, specifically college, is the popularity has grown. Whether you love or hate Caitlin Clark, having a villain in your sport, that's like a huge deal.
Yeah,
because we've seen in the NBA, obviously we've seen guys like LeBron when he was on the Heat, KD, when he is on the Warriors. And we just see these big villains, which obviously not true villains, but you know what I mean. And having that in a women's sport is really changing the landscape. The fact you have a hater, like people legitimately hating this player for being the best, is exactly what you need to get respect from the outside world.
Yeah, I think you and I were talking about this, where whenever someone posts a clip of Caitlin Clark, that how much women's sports have grown when the comments are like free throw merchant or JuJu Watkins better or Paige Becker's better, when they're that and not who cares, we're not watching, make me a sandwich, like that type of stuff. Like their actual like their hate comments, of course, because it's the internet, you're gonna get them everywhere, but they're about basketball, they're about women's basketball, and that is like you said, a big time step in the right direction. Someone to play that villain role, it's huge. Yeah. So like, yes, this one's a little different because everything she said is just flat wrong.
For sure.
And it's not some troll on Twitter. It's from an actual former player who has a platform and talking about it on a podcast. But yes, in general, having that villain, someone to hate, someone to constantly debate about, someone to demean all their success, and find a new way. Like people do with LeBron all the time. Like you wins a title, oh, it's a Mickey Mouse title. You know, he wins a title. Oh, the Kevin Durant was hurt. Like whatever. And you find a way to demean all that stuff. That's generally speaking good for the support. For the sport. And shows how far women's basketball has come. I mean, within the last few years. I mean, you and I honestly don't know if I'd watched. I watched a few games when Megan Gustafson was at Iowa.
Shout out, just signed a 2-year with the Aces. So shout out.
Very good for Iowa. But anyway, I believe they won the Big Ten. 1 year, and we watched that Big Ten championship game. They played Maryland. I remember, beat the living piss out of them, I think. But I think it was the only women's game I watched, and now I watch it all the time.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, Sheryl Swoopes definitely joining Dawn Staley in that Caitlin Clark hating club. For my loser, I'm gonna go to the Diamond. I don't know if y'all remember, but Alabama's coach, Brad Bohannon, a while back got canned or let go. I believe he's gone from the program. I assume he is. Well, and it was due to the gambling. Well, the story came out of what actually went down. So, I'll just read you what this account says. So on April 28th of 2023, prior to Alabama's baseball game against LSU, Bohannon sent several text messages via this messaging application to a bettor that Bohannon knew was involved in sports wagering. The messages indicated that a Alabama baseball player, the scheduled starting pitcher for that night, would not start due to an injury. Bohannon provided this information just to the bettor before reporting the starting lineup to the LSU coaching staff. Specifically, Bohannon texted the bettor, in quote, "Hammer, student athlete 1 is out for sure. Let me know when I could tell LSU. Hurry." Shortly after receiving the message from Bohannon, the bettor attempted to place a $100,000 wager on the LSU basketball team at MGM Sportsbook at a baseball. Yes, sir. At a sportsbook in Cincinnati, but the sportsbook actually has a limit to a $1,500 wager. The bettor attempted to place additional wagers involving that specific baseball game, but the staff declined due to suspicious activity, because let's be honest, no one really is a huge gambler when it comes to college baseball. And this suspicious activity obviously included some insistent demeanor to get the bet placed, because he, in quote, was for sure going to win. And if only you guys knew what I knew. So the suspicious statements, activity, also inclined the better to show the staff messages from Bohannon in explaining that the Bohannon informed the better that Alabama was scratching its starting pitcher before alerting LSU.
That's hilarious.
That's so funny.
That's just so funny. That's
so
over
funny.
text, just like, hey, they'll never know.
Yeah. And Barstool LSU actually tweeted this out, and they said this might actually be worse than you making your illegal gambling account named Kayshawn Booty 01, their receiver that got caught a couple months ago.
Oh, that's so funny.
If you haven't read this, go check it out for yourself. It's absolutely crazy. Like, didn't even try to hide it. Like, at that point, why are you using a third party? Just text them. Like, you're clearly gonna get caught.
Yeah, it was so odd. Like, it's just hilarious that they thought they were doing some real.
Oh, they're like,
they thought we were doing some 007 bullshit, dude. And it was the most obvious.
And 100K. Like, okay, I think you could, not advising, could possibly get away with it with like a big matchup, right. Like UConn, Duke, national, sure. Like a national championship, but a baseball game on a random day in April. College, not even pro.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah,
in Cincinnati,
he came in guns ablazing too. Like, if he had known the limit was 1,500 and he just came in and was like, I'll take 1,500 on LSU, or the clerk would probably been like,
weird, okay, but okay.
Yeah, bro came in guns blazing, 100K right now.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, absolutely insane story there. But yeah, another gambling situation gone wrong.
I'll tell you what, before we move on, I thought of an honorable mention.
Honorable mention. Okay.
It reminded me, actually, when you're talking about Chris Collins, Northwestern.
Yeah.
Getting thrown out. Another loser, Iowa State Baylor.
Yeah.
That game, I mean, it was an awesome game. The game ended on Iowa State down 2, made it 3 as time expired, went back and looked at it. Turns out they didn't get it off in time. But the amount of losers, and so Scott Drew, head coach of Baylor,
that's one loser.
Got ejected. And I swear to God, it is the calmest you'll ever see a coach get ejected. He didn't like throw anything. He didn't get upset. He didn't walk onto the court. Apparently he stepped out of the coach's box.
Yeah, the first technical, he was pretty out of the coach's box. There's like a certain space you can go. But the second one is what got me.
He like took a knee maybe a centimeter outside the coach's box, and he got teed up again. Like, he didn't go after the refs at all. He didn't, like, it was insane. And it completely changed the tide of the game, because when he got ejected, Baylor was up like 14.
Yeah.
Iowa State comes running right back. So the first is Scott Drew and the refs, because Scott Drew getting ejected can't happen, but the refs, I mean, wow, they seemed like they really over legislated that. And then all of our spectators, we were watching from the moon, because Baylor's brand new basketball arena, the camera angle is
atrocious,
so high,
so
and
bad,
so far away that it was giving like headache. Like, you were getting a headache watching this game, because it felt like you were on the rafters looking straight down and you were, which is that spec the ball?
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't, like, it was really frustrating. And then to top it all off, the third one, I mentioned Iowa State shooting the ball, or shooting as the buzzer expired, making it and it not counting. That play was preceded by about a 10-minute review, because inexplicably Baylor was at the free throw line and he had missed the free throw, and the clock had started way too early.
Yeah.
So they had to go back and try and figure out a way. So they did some math where the clock started 0.5 seconds too early, and we blew it dead at 1.7 or 1.2. So therefore we put 0.7 on the clock. Like they did some math like that. And it resulted in probably a little bit less time than Iowa State should have had.
Yeah.
And of course, when the shot is still in his hand, and it eventually goes in, and both teams are celebrating, they think they win, they didn't get it off. Iowa State could have used an extra 0.1, 0.2 seconds, and that very well could have been there if they just didn't start the clock too early. So it was an absolute travesty. I mean, it was awesome to watch, but it was a travesty that a game ended that way and was so controlled by the refs and the clock operator and trying to all the stoppages and ejections and all that stuff. But yeah, I had to shout out that one.
Yeah. Speaking of, reminds me of another game that happened on Saturday. The Iowa Wolves, the local G League team here in Des Moines, played the Sioux Falls Skyforce with about one couple seconds left. Lance Stevenson, he's in the G League now, hit a corner three. The Wolves go up by one with 0.6 seconds left. Basically, all you have to do is put your hands up and you win. Well, that didn't happen. Skyforce set a very simple screen. Dude catches it from about the timeline cash, and they lose in a heartbreaking fashion. So heartbreak all around on Saturday. But Tanner, let's talk about the big game coming up on Sunday. Of course, we're talking about Super Bowl Sunday between the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers. Brock Purdy versus Patrick Mahomes. Tanner, let's kick it off with this question. And that is, what is the biggest question for you going into this game?
And for me, this is easy. This is 100%, in my opinion, what's going to win or lose this game. And that's what 49ers defense shows up. Because the 49ers have obviously been pretty much the best team in football all year. There was a while, and I would say after the Ravens beat the 49ers, when was that on? Was that Christmas Eve or something?
Yeah, something like that.
It was late in the season, but after that, I would have said the Ravens were the best team in football, but the 49ers were pretty much the best team in football all year long. And a big part of that was that defense. I mean, their linebackers are incredible. Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner, the best linebacker in football, of course, not to mention Joey Bosa and Randy Gregory and Chase Young all coming off the edge, which Chase Young is a whole different category. I'm sure we'll talk about that soon. But like the defense is so good. They have guys everywhere.
You mean Nick Bosa, by the way?
You
mentioned Joey.
Nick Bosa. I never.
It happens.
Never
man.
Get those two straight. Both Ohio State. Both went to the West Coast. Can never keep them straight. But anyway, Nick Bosa. They have studs everywhere, and frankly, over the past few weeks, they have not looked very good. Green Bay seemed to get whatever they wanted, and if they can make a damn field goal or score a damn touchdown, that game is looking a lot differently than their Green Bay is probably moving on. It took a big time collapse from Detroit in the first half. Detroit was getting absolutely anything they wanted, and that's probably not going to happen with Kansas City. So the 49ers defense is, for me, 100% the biggest question mark. Will they be the unit that we've seen all year that can create turnovers, pick up sacks with that dominant pass rush? Or is it going to be the team they're falling behind in games and had to come back against the Packers, had to come back against the Lions? That's where the game is going to be won and lost, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I'm actually going to stay on the 49ers side of things. And I'm going to go with, can Brock Purdy put together a complete game? We've seen him do well in the second half. Can he do, because this defense we've seen from the Chiefs have stopped some of the most prolific offenses in the NFL during their run, obviously being the Bills and the Ravens, of course, two of the best.
Obviously it was really cold, but the Dolphins offense was awesome, right?
Absolutely. And Brock Purdy, he struggled in the first half. He has scored a total of 14 points over the past 2 games. That's definitely not something you can do, especially when Patrick Mahomes is on the other side of the field. So that's kind of my big question going into this one because if he can, I like the 49ers in this one. But let's look on the other side of things. We kind of talked about the 49ers. Are there any big questions for you if you're a Chiefs fan going into this one?
Um, I, you know, I would say I'm going to stick with the defensive side. I would say it's less of a question mark than the 49ers just because the Chiefs defense has been playing so freaking well recently. Like you said, all those offenses they held down. They're really young, the Chiefs defense, and maybe that will hurt them, and maybe Shanahan will be able to confuse them a little bit. But we all know what Patrick Mahomes is going to come out and give. We all know what that offense is going to give. The defense, like if Brock Purdy has a bad half and the 49ers defense has a bad half, it could be scary hours for the 49ers, right? So I'd say the question marks are more on the 49ers side, but this Chiefs defense, man, I'm going to need to keep seeing it from the past few weeks. But that's of the two Chiefs sides of the ball, that's my bigger question mark for sure.
Yeah, totally agree. You kind of talked about Chase Young and his struggles. We saw him be a dominant force. Honestly, in Ohio State, we've kind of seen him first couple years in Washington, he was the guy. He was dominant. But lately, he has seemed to be, I don't even know how to describe it, but kind of give me your thoughts on how Chase Young has been playing and if that's a weak spot for this 49ers D.
So it's funny. I think on this show, it was in our very, very early days. The first year we did like a whole NFL predictions, and I think I had Chase Young as my defensive player of the year prediction.
You did.
I did.
It was back on episode 2.
Episode 2.
Defensive player of the year, Chase Young.
I chose Chase Young to be the DPO. I was hilariously wrong because, we all know what he's come out to be. But for me, it's a clear indication of effort. We all saw the clip against the Lions where bro just like lazily walked over and jogged and sauntered and had a clear play had a chance to make a play and bring down Jahmyr Gibbs. Didn't because of his clear laziness, and Gibbs went on to score a touchdown. Also in that game, we saw him in a 3rd and short shed a block, get penetration, and make a big-time tackle for loss.
Yeah.
The talent's still there. The dude can still play. It's just when he wants to play, and that's a big problem.
Mm-hmm.
I'd much rather have someone who like always works hard, but maybe isn't the best. Like it's one of those where how can you play someone who has put on tape that level of lazy play, but also how can you bench someone that's put on tape of such elite pass rush and run stuffing? So it's a really tough scenario between, with what he's got going on, between just effort, because the dude can still play. It's clear as day he can still play. It's just, does he want to play?
Yeah, exactly. Tanner, let's talk about score predictions. We're going to make a couple predictions, kind of talk about the crazy bets that come with this big game. So let's kick it off here. Give me your score prediction for
dude. I have gone back and forth so many times on this, but my official score prediction: 49ers 31, Chiefs 27, and the 49ers win the Super Bowl in 31-27.
31-27. So a close game, huh?
I'm thinking so, yeah.
I'm going to go on the other side of the coin. I have the Chiefs 35-21. Personally,
business, huh?
I think the NFL, now rigged is a strong word. I think the NFL has favored the Chiefs. I've said the past couple episodes, I'm not going to go away with it when it's so close to being true. So give me the Chiefs here, 35-21, but I expect a really good matchup. I'm not betting on Brock Purdy putting together 4 quarters, so that's kind of where I have the Chiefs kind of beating them bigger than you have the 49ers beating the Chiefs. What about MVP? Who you got?
Yeah, my MVP, it's going to be clear to me, because if the 49ers win this game, this guy has a monster game, and it's going to be Deebo Samuel. 2 touchdown performance in that win, 1 on the ground, 1 through the air. Give me Deebo to be an absolute menace. Yards after catch, king, the Yak King.
Yeah, I mean, is he 100% healthy? I assume he is, right?
He played
He
against
played,
the Lions,
yeah.
and so
I mean, a
maybe
week.
not 100%, but 2
He-
weeks after
yeah.
playing.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a cop out, but Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he's gonna be the best player on the Chiefs sideline. So, but it would be cool to see some love to an defensive player. Who that is, I have no idea, but maybe some crazy. But speaking of craziness, with the big game, I'm pretty sure it's like one of the most gambled on days because there's so many crazy props. What is a spread? I don't even know. I think
Anyway, live on the pod, Sam.
live on the pod. Give me 49ers 2.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 49ers 1.5. It is officially. Oh, I gotta log in. Face ID.
Classic.
You know how that goes. The Super Bowl. It is 49ers minus 2.5.
Bang.
Nailed
Let's
it.
go.
Nailed it.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I thought it'd be. So bang. But like I said, crazy bets. There's obviously a ton of prop bets surrounding this, from viewership to what the first commercial is to who is Usher on the halftime show going to bring out, what it literally anything that could possibly be bet on can be bet on in Super Bowl Sunday. So let's talk about some of these crazy prop bets. First one I got for us, Tanner, total viewership of the Super Bowl. The over under is 116.5 million. Where do you think we're gonna go here?
I'm soaring over on this one. Soaring over. Last year, 2023, which was Super Bowl. What is that? 57?
Yeah, 58's this year, so 57.
Side note: petition for the NFL to stop using Roman numerals. I signed. 57. That the average viewership was about 112 million. Is there any extra factor that may bring some extra viewership to this year's Super Bowl?
Patrick Mahomes Sr.'s DUI.
Yes, I think his prison mates are going to be watching. Obviously, we're talking about the Swifties, and I've seen a lot of people. I've seen on social media people throwing
Taylor Swift theme. Yep.
Taylor Swift themed Super Bowl parties. This is soaring over. There are way more than 4 million people who are tuning in because Taylor Swift's boyfriend is playing in the Super Bowl. So lock soaring.
And I totally agree. I think it's going to be the most watched Super Bowl, but with ease because of the loyal Swifties. Speaking of Taylor Swift, the next one we got here is how many times will Taylor Swift be shown on the broadcast? Over under sitting at 4.5 right now.
This is tough.
This is tough. This is interesting.
It's gonna depend on how Travis
Kelce does
3 touchdowns. This is
100%.
But you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna say under on the Taylor Swift view. I think that line may be a little inflated because the talk of the town is Taylor Swift and all this and the Super Bowl. So I think maybe people are expecting constant Taylor showing on TV. I'm not. I'm going under on the 4.5.
Yeah. I totally agree. I do think it's gonna be how well Travis Kelce does.
Yeah. However, the problem with taking the under is that we're one Travis Kelce great game away from this being
so I think it's a lock for her to be shown once because she's gonna get shown when she's walking in or in the press or in the box. And give me the over.
Going over.
I'm feeling it. I think Travis is gonna score 2. So that's 2. You're gonna get a pregame and then halftime. Those are again, and then I think towards the end, if my prediction comes out, they're going to show her again. So that'll give me 5. So I like it. I like it a lot. I'm so obviously this whole Taylor Swift Travis Kelsey relationship has been kind of the talk of the NFL since they started dating. We saw the NFL change their bio on social media 2-0 with Taylor Swift uh in the at Arrowhead or at the Chiefs game. Um we kind of talked about this, but I just want to, because we've seen she's gonna be going on tour to Japan.
Embassy.
The embassy of Japan is like, yeah, she's gonna be there, which is insane that it's gotten to this magnitude. But Tanner, for me, man, it bothered me a lot in the beginning because it's just content. I I really don't care that she's at the game. Like, she's supporting her boyfriend. Hell yeah. The media coverage is why I have a problem with.
Yeah.
Like,
but it's not even media coverage during the game.
Yeah.
It's media coverage constantly outside the game. You saw what the hell's his name? Colin Cowherd.
Yeah.
He went somewhat Swifty viral. I don't know if you saw
No,
this.
I didn't.
He went on and basically said that like everyone who hates wants the Chiefs to lose, hates Taylor Swift, all this stuff is a loser because throughout the entire playoff run, she's been shown less than a minute on screen. And Travis Kelsey was shown more in that one game against the Bills than Taylor Swift was in the entire.
You mean Jason Kelsey?
God damn it. Jason
I got you. Well,
Kelsey
probably I hope Travis Kelsey was shown.
Jason Kelsey was shown
Yeah.
jumping out of the box, shirt off, more in that one game than Taylor had been shown
Really?
on screen in like this whole second half of the season.
Really?
Like
That's shocking.
It was pretty crazy. And of course, we're all like, oh, Jason Kelsey, what a stud.
Yeah.
All like, oh, boo, stop showing Taylor. But yeah, I mean, it's the hate is it's the reverse, because personally I didn't love it when it first started, but it's completely reversed where the hate is getting way out of hand. It's like, okay, people, it's not that serious.
Yeah, exactly.
It's totally not that serious.
Excuse me. Yeah, absolutely. I think we're both in the agreement there. But dude, now let's get to some of the classic prop bets. Tanner, what color Gatorade will be poured on the wing coach? Believe it or not, I think purple. It has the best odds. You have that odds right there.
So I've got it up. And first off, I think this is my favorite single prop to bet on.
Oh, it's best.
So yes, the shortest odds, or the the most likely to happen, is purple. Purple,
which is
blue,
wild.
Yellow, green, red, orange, clear at plus 1,000. Is that water? Like what?
Glacier, the cherry glacier, or whatever.
But so the reason purple is the most likely, according to the book, last year beat the Eagles. Purple. Of course, the big one, the telling one, 2020, we had this exact Super Bowl. Chiefs, Niners. You got to keep the juju strong. I think they're double dipping, going back to what they did in 2020, which was orange. 2020, when the Chiefs beat the 49ers, it was orange. I think they got to go back to the orange. It was good luck against the Niners last time. It'll be good luck again. They're going orange.
Yeah.
And you can get that the right now on, this is on BetMGM, but you can get orange at plus 500. So
yeah,
responsibly, of course, but
yeah, I like yellow.
Yellow
classic.
Vibes.
It's a classic. What's a yellow at?
Plus 450.
I like it. I like it. Obviously, don't take our gambling advice unless you want to ride. But
tied with yellow is green. Green is plus 450, which has green has shorter odds than red and orange. The original trio pack was yellow, red, orange. Are they getting like the cucumber lime Gatorade? Like, what is green?
What is green? Hold on, I'm searching Gatorade wiki right now is what I'm on. lemon lime. That's not it. Okay, I need like the colors.
I mean, the only green I can
Fire engine red is what fruit punch is. That's kind of electric. Not as electric as rich electric blue.
Oh,
Uh,
green apple. They might have a green apple.
lime cucumber is light sage green, so that's a lighter
Lime
one.
cucumber is the worst thing ever created.
It's really bad.
apple.
Summer fruits is Irish green.
Summer fruit.
We
I've never heard
got
of that
tropical cooler. That's Kelly
You're
green.
just making shit up now. I've never seen any.
We're now on to the frost flavors. No green there. We got
They have Arctic Blitz on there. Can you command F?
Arctic Blitz. Let's go. That is Blue Hosta.
Blue Hosta.
So-
I love that Gatorade so much.
Yeah. But so the fact that's like up there in the odds is crazy.
I mean, purple, okay, blue, sure, yellow, sure, green, red, orange, and then clear. So what the hell? Like
just water,
the white, like
just water or glacier. It's either water or glacier cherry because that's like cloudy clear.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird.
Milky.
Yeah, it's kind of gross, but fire. So yeah, this is what the podcast does when there's not a whole lot going on. We're talking about what Gatorade. Another one, Tanner, that's super popular. I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of the more popular bets. And that is, of course, how long will the national anthem go? Reba McEntire is singing it. And the over-under is kind of crazy. 1 minute, 25 seconds.
Man, I feel like whenever I bet this, I always just go over because in my mind, it's just like I'm so excited for the Super Bowl.
All Super Bowl, the average Super Bowl national anthem is 1 minute 43.
Wow.
So a whole 20-ish seconds more. I'm going over personally. I think on the grand stage, they're gonna go crazy.
It a little bit. Yeah, I didn't know that stat you had there about the average time. Yeah, I mean, I guess just from the odds, I'll go over. But I also like, in my mind, I'm so excited for the Super Bowl that when they do the national anthem, I'm like, come on, hurry up. We got to get to the football game. So in my mind, it lasts like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So when I bet on it, I'm like, minute 25. This shit's like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, it's not 15 minutes. But yeah, I'll go over on that for sure.
Yeah. One thing I think we can all agree on, it's not going to be good as last year's. I think Chris Stapleton did it last year, and he absolutely killed it. So good luck, Reba. With that. Next, of course, we got to talk about this halftime show. We're going back to 2004 when this dude was at the top. Usher, Tanner. There's a pretty common one for this first song. I want to see, are you rolling with the favorite or are you going another way?
I actually don't know what the favorite is, but I'll tell you what I think is going to happen. Because I think he's going to go in chronological order of his hits, and he's going to do something older school to start. And for me, when I think of Usher, older school Usher, I think of
that is the best odds.
That's the favorite.
Yep.
So I guess I am going with the favorite. It's also like when I think of Usher, that's the first song that pops into my mind.
Yeah.
I don't know if is it the one that he blew up on? I don't
know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the history of Usher, believe it or not.
Me neither. But that's what I think of. I think it's also a good decent like to start get into a halftime show, like good pump up stuff. So I'll go with yeah.
That's a good one. I think that is highly favored to be the number one. But I think what would be kind of dope is OMG, where like it's all dark and it's like, oh my gosh,
that's a good opener.
Baby, let me. I did it again, so I'm gonna let the beat drop.
Yeah,
baby, let me. Dude, that'd be sick. Usher, come on now. But yeah, dude, that's another coming one, and then probably one of the most bet on because you have the best odds. Coin flip, heads or tails, Tanner.
I'm going the same thing. Every single coin flip, the history of ever, I've said the same answer. It's tails.
Tails
You
never
have to
fails.
go tails.
Tails
If you
never
go heads, you are
fails.
crazy. It's always tails. I actually bet on that one last year and won it with tails.
Let's go.
Got to go back to the well. It's always tails. If you ask me on a random Tuesday, heads or tails, I will say tails because I will always say tails.
Yeah.
When I'm playing Madden and I pick heads or tails, it's always tails.
Yeah, absolutely. So we kind of talked about the game. You know all the storylines coming into this one. Patrick Mahomes versus 49ers, the two best teams. Well, obviously they're they're in the Super Bowl, but not from the beginning of the year. The Chiefs were definitely not a team we all thought were going to be in this situation. They actually have had a little chip on their shoulder the way they start, but the 49ers have always been the team to be. So it's going to be an absolutely electric game. I'm excited. Of course, we gave some predictions. We talked about some of the crazy bets associated with the Super Bowl. But Tanner, you got any final thoughts before we move on?
Not really, man. I think we covered most of the fun stuff with some of the prop bets, but actually the game itself and that chess match between Kyle Shanahan and then Spagnuolo, who was able to completely shut down Lamar Jackson and Todd Monken over in Baltimore. But I just enjoy it, everybody. It's the last football game for a last. If you don't count the UFL, it's the last football game for a long.
You knew exactly where I was going.
Do it. But it's the last football game for a long time, so enjoy it. Get your bets in responsibly. Get your wings, get your chips, get your snacks, your appetizers, your beer. Get a lot of beer. And enjoy Super Bowl Sunday. And another petition. We got a petition to have the Monday after Super Bowl Sunday a national holiday. What should we call it? Hangover Monday?
Sad Boy Hours Monday?
Sad Boy Hours Monday with no football?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. I think we should definitely get it off.
Get off. The fact that it's on national holidays should be a crime.
Yeah, it is.
But that'll be it for the Super Bowl talk. Obviously, we're going to be recapping after the game next week. But Tanner, we got some questions for this episode. We'll stay in the realm of NFL to kick it off. And Blake Baumgartner wants to know, is Joe Burrow better than Lamar Jackson?
The short answer is I think yes. Lamar Jackson's awesome. Lamar Jackson can do a lot of things on the football field that not a lot of people can do. Lamar Jackson seems to not be able to win a playoff game. Lamar Jackson has had multiple number one seeds and lost home games both times. I got to answer this on who do I want to quarterback my team. And if you had to make me choose, do I want Joe Burrow or do I want Lamar Jackson? I do think about it. It's not obvious. It's not like way obvious. I'm taking Joe Burrow. So I'm going to go, yes, I think Joe Burrow is better than Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, so I actually work with Blake. We were actually having this argument earlier today. He is a Bengals fan, so a little bias there. But they're just two totally different players. Obviously not seeing Joe Burrow this past year hurt. We kind of forget. It seems we forget how good players are.
We did see Joe Burrow. He was on one leg with his cat
exactly
or whatever.
But all those things taken into consideration, when it comes down to just 1v1, who is better, I got to give the slight edge to Joe Burrow. I think he's just a more consistent and gets it done when games matter most, like you said. Next question comes from Lincoln Riley, not the head coach of USC, but he wants to know. We're going to head to hardwood for this one. Should the NCAA get rid of the NIT tournament?
I can't I guess I can tell you the last time I watched the NIT. It was the last time I was in the NIT. Uh, you know, I get why I get the conversation just because it's one of those where not a lot of people care. But like, what's the harm, right? What's the harm of the NIT? Like, if they if the NCAA gets rid of the NIT and defunds the NIT, like where does that money go? How does it help us at all? And if the answer is we're not getting some crazy either other tournament or crazy investment in March Madness, I don't know what that would be.
Mm-hmm.
But so because of that, I'm gonna say no, they shouldn't because I don't personally watch it, but when I was in it, I do watch it. And there are a lot of teams, like obviously North Carolina fans, if they're in the NIT, they do not give a crap about the NIT. But St. Mary's might,
Yeah.
Iowa might, Rhode Island might. Like there are these teams where they winning the NIT is an incredible accomplishment, and they get to celebrate their incredible accomplishment with their team, with their coach, like all that stuff. And I don't think that should be taken away because there's some fans of bigger schools that don't care about the
Yeah.
NIT. So no, I don't think they should. I don't think it's harming anybody, and there are legitimate reasons to keep it. And some schools enjoy it, and it's a good way to have a little consolation prize for teams that still accomplished something but weren't quite good enough to get into the field of 64.
Yeah.
Or 68 field of 68.
Yeah. Did you know there's a third postseason tournament?
I did, yes.
The college basketball
The
invitational.
CBI, yep.
I have never heard of this, but the fact for me, I personally think the NIT is kind of dumb. In my opinion, I never watch it. I think it's a dumb tournament. You're celebrating being the under top 64 teams or 68 because you get it. But like I totally understand what you're saying. You're saying like it's still a pretty big accomplishment, like still winning that tournament. There's good teams that go in, but like why? Like why does it exist? I don't know. So I think they should want, and this might be a little selfish, but my life would not change in the slightest.
Yeah.
In fact, it might even help because if Iowa, well, I might actually see Iowa win in postseason if they're in NIT. But like it, if the NCAA had the NIT or doesn't have the NIT, it doesn't really affect me. So I don't really see the need. And like if Iowa goes on to win the NIT, this is my reaction. Ooh. Like I personally don't think it's a huge deal. But like if you're smaller mid-major, I can see where the NIT is like, oh shit, like this is a good ass year.
Yeah,
but,
do you remember that year when Iowa made it to the NIT final?
Yeah.
I remember watching that run with my family, and like we had fun watching it, right? I look back on that fondly. Obviously, Iowa lost the NIT final, but that was a fun ride and a fun way to watch basketball. We were also a different stage in Iowa basketball. Coming off of, it was one of Fran's earlier years, coming off the Lick Lighter, where it was like winning an NIT was unheard of back then for Iowa basketball. But also the other thing I would fight back slightly on is the nature of the NCAA tournament with the amount of automatic bids that like a team that wins the NIT isn't like the 69th best
no, for sure.
basketball, right? Well, because you have your Texas Southerns and your Fairleigh
No, for sure.
and all them that get in. So like it's still some of the teams in there I think are better than what the average person might look and say, oh, NIT, they must suck. I think there are some teams in there that are better than what the average person might think. But yeah, that's if again to your point, if tomorrow they said the NIT is disbanded, I'd be like, darn.
Yeah,
I just personally would do it myself.
Exactly, especially with March Madness being the greatest thing in sport. But like last year, the Final Four in the NIT was North Texas, Wisconsin, Utah Valley, at UAB.
Like obviously Wisconsin probably didn't want to really end up, but
Yeah.
like North
No,
Texas,
for sure.
North Texas won, didn't they?
North Texas did win.
It's like
Yeah.
North Texas winning a basketball tournament, like that's pretty cool. And
Yeah.
UAB being in a Final Four, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. I understand it more for NIT, like smaller schools. I totally get, but like, you really think Wisconsin?
No,
exactly.
I don't think they cared.
Yeah, but that's a great question. It seems like our lives wouldn't be affected by it at all.
Yeah, no.
But that's gonna wrap it up. We had a short episode, believe it or not. When there's not a lot of sports, we don't have a very long episode. But of course, we talked about Super Bowl, talked about some college hoops, both on the men and women's side. The embarrassing gambling scandal within Alabama baseball, and of course, answered those two questions.
Don't forget big time Gatorade talk.
Oh, yes, of course, of course. But like we said earlier, enjoy Super Bowl Sunday, last game of the year. It's the best. And hopefully there's good commercials. I saw a preview of Paramount, which was wild commercial. Oh, Creed's there. Oh, but enjoy it, cherish it, because it's gonna be the last meaningful football for a while. But that will wrap it up for episode 118. You can follow us on TikTok, X, Instagram at crunchtime_pod. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Find that Crunch Time with the N through 26 duo. The clock has run out on this one, but we'll see you on the next one on Crunch Time.